The NFL has been changing and evolving for about a century now, and has made some drastic changes to the game of football. Some changes for the better, and some for the worse. In today's age, many fans have been disappointed with many changes in today's NFL. This has caused many fans to value college football more than the NFL. I am personally not in this league, as I prefer the NFL over college any day of the week. However, I don't think the NFL is perfect, and because so, I decided to make a video on the 5 ways to fix the NFL. Now, I was able to compile 5 things the NFL can do to make the game more interesting and fans of the sport. Now, of course, I need to mention this, but these choices I came up with are my opinion and not everybody will agree with it. So just hear me out and leave a comment on what you think should be changed, and if you guys like the video, then consider to drop a like, and if you're new, then consider subscribing, and let's go. The first point I want to bring up is the NFL needs to stop being so political. Now, I know you might hear this a lot, and trust me, I do as well, but the people who are saying it are not wrong. Now, this whole political NFL began in 2016 when Colin Kaepernick took a kneel during the national anthem. Ever since then, the NFL has been this massive political mess and has even gotten the president involved. Whether you see this move by Kaepernick to be necessary or not, of course that's up to you, but whether you disagree or not, you have to admit that it was an action that split up a lot of fans and divided up players and teams and even players on the same team. But it has not stopped there. In July of 2018, the Cardinals president Michael Bidwell used the official Cardinals social media and website to promote Brett Kavanaugh. Not only that, the White House has also nominated the Jets owner for the ambassador in the UK, and even John Elway promoting a US Supreme Court judge, Neil Gorsuch. You guys get the point here. Overall, I think people should just respect the rules that the NFL has set in place. In 2016, the rules of the anthem was that the anthem was not required, only encouraged. So in that time, Kaepernick doing what he did was not against the rules at the time. However, those rules have been changed to where you have to stand for the anthem or stay in the locker room, which I think this should be the rule from now on. However, there needs to be change with these owners being so involved in politics. The NFL needs to make punishments for owners and presidents who endorse any political figures on football exclusive social media pages and websites. There needs to be action from the commissioner here in order to stop this. Now, of course, there's a lot more to talk about here, but I don't want to make this a political video because for the sake of it, let's move on. Okay, so this point is actually going to change the game itself, and that is to get rid of the preseason games entirely and replace it with the summer league. Now, that's a lot to take in, so let me explain. So the first thing the NFL should do is remove the preseason, because it is so boring and no one watches it, because people mostly watch it just to see their draft pick play a couple snaps, and most of these people just watch the highlights. And I mean, let's be real here, no one likes seeing the second and third string players play a full 60 minutes. It's not as interesting, and it's a waste of 4 weeks. So it should be removed entirely and add a summer league in the months of June through August. This is very similar to the NBA summer league. In this summer league, starting players do not have to play at all, but if they want to improve their skills, they can participate and work on their game. The league will consist of 14 games that are played on Sundays and Mondays, and all second string and rookies can also participate as well, but they're not forced to, as they most likely will play anyway. Making this non-requirement allows starters to avoid possible injury, or it can allow them to possibly play with their rookie and vice versa for the rookie. Of course, the original NFL teams will remain the exact same, and the league will run as the following. The so-called regular season will take place from June and July, and August and early September will be the postseason and the championship game, and the postseason will run exactly as the same as the original postseason. And the championship game will have the 2 champion teams from each conference and play a game called the Summer Bowl, and the winner of that game will receive a huge trophy and possibly rings to add it with, and there should be a money prize pool that should be funded by players, fans, and the NFL itself. Having all of this can allow people who like the preseason to actually enjoy a full season of it. On top of that, it gets more competitive for both players and fans, as it's actually something in the end. Plus, there will actually be something to watch in the summer months instead of the 8-month drought. And it's great for players, as they basically have an extra season to work and develop, and it's great for coaches because it allows them to have extra film for them to study. Now, I don't have all the details, as it's pretty basic idea, but I think this would be a great addition to make the NFL more accessible to fans. Plus, it won't mess with the months of free agent signings in April and May. So let's move on. Now, this has been a resolving issue for a while now, and that is the overtime rules. That need to be changed because a lot of people are complaining that many teams don't even play in overtime because of how it's all set up. So let me explain a little bit more, and I'll state my solution. The overtime rules have been changed multiple times, but believe it or not, this version of overtime is a massive improvement over the last set of rules, that being whoever scores any kind of points, they win the game. And that's definitely not fair, but this version of the overtime rules are far from perfect as well, having a team score first and win the game without letting the other team even touching the ball. In a big recent example, I am talking about here was the last year's AFC Championship game, where it was tied 31-31, and the Patriots won the coin toss and ended up driving down the field and winning the game without letting the Chiefs offense even touch the ball once. Now, I do find that unfair, and a lot of people on the ESPN's talk shows agree and say the NFL should adopt college rules. When a team scores, the other offense has the opportunity to do the same. And although I do find that to be better than the current rules, I don't see that as being a solution. Instead of adopting the college rules, I think we should adopt the NBA idea here. Now, here's what I mean. I think a full overtime quarter should be played in place, and whoever has the most points by the end of that overtime quarter should win the game. Sure, it'll be longer, but leaves room for no excuses. Sure, some other shows following the game will have to be pushed back, but I think that's a small price to pay. And plus, you have to think here, why are these teams tied in the first place? Because on that particular Sunday or Monday or Thursday, these two teams are just as good as each other, and 1 or 2 possessions is not going to answer that question, but a whole quarter for them can allow good and bad plays like what any NFL team does. Overall, having a full overtime period will allow to really show which team is better, but that's just my opinion, so let's move on. My next point is to get rid of Thursday Night Football. Now, don't get me wrong, I sometimes watch Thursday Night Football if I am bored, but most of the time I stay away from it, mostly due to the fact that it's the most irrelevant teams always play each other on Thursday night, like the Cardinals and the 49ers. Not to mention, Thursday is kind of a weird day to broadcast a football game. There are 2 reasons why Thursday Night Football is still here, and one is that it's supposed to have some same impact as Monday Night Football, which is never going to be the case, and the second reason being to fit the 16-game schedule. And my simple solution is to either just let football be played on Mondays and Sundays only, or you can make it on every other Saturday or possibly Friday, because a lot of kids watch the NFL and putting the game on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and if the game lasts around 3 hours, which it usually does by the way, then most people would tune out after the first hour. Instead, if you just put it on, let's say, a Friday, then most kids and adults don't have to worry about having school or possible work. Plus, everybody feels good on a Friday, so why not? My last and final point I want to make out is the catch rules. These definitely need to be changed, as there's been a problem for years now. There have been many controversial plays that actually made teams lose games because of this, which is absolutely crazy. To show an example, let's go back to NFC Divisional Round in 2014. It was the Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers. There was about 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and Tony Romo on 4th and 2 throws up a pass to his number 1 wide receiver, Dez Bryant, and ends up catching a ball in the air and coming down with it, and it was considered a catch at first, until the play was under review, and after a couple of minutes, it was later overturned and not ruled as a catch, and the Cowboys later ended up losing that game because the ball was moving around a little bit when it hit the ground, but the ball itself did not hit the ground, which makes no sense at all to me, but you know what happens next. But let's move on to a more recent play, which happened in 2017, where it was the Steelers versus the Patriots, and the Patriots were leading until the Steelers ended up driving down the field and ended up throwing a game-winning touchdown pass to tight end Jesse James, and at first it was ruled a touchdown. However, since the ball moved a little bit, it apparently means he lost control and did not catch it, but it does not count, causing the Steelers to lose the game. My point is that control the ball part of the catch is completely idiotic. So here's my solution, and it's pretty simple when you think about it, and that is to make the catch rules more simple. You don't need to add all this has complete control of the ball nonsense, and have these basic guidelines. That being that both feet are in bounds and that the ball has not touched the ground in the middle of trying to get possession of the ball. And if it moves a little bit, that's okay, because if you're playing a backyard game and you make a catch and the ball moves a bit, it would be considered a catch, right? So why would it be any different from the NFL? Sure, it's professional, but it's still football. It's all the same. It's a sport, not a monitored activity. The catch rules need to be more simplified, not super complex. Well, there you go. That is my list, and I hope you were able to understand my points clearly and learn something a bit as well. And what do you think about my points? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you like this video, do not forget to leave a like, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel. And I do plan on making another video similar to this one about the Pro Bowl, as I think that would be a cool video to do, so I'll think about that, and we'll see what happens. And of course, I will see you next time. Have a good day.